Hello everyone, so welcome back to week 6 of Playing with Abstract Art with me, Katrina, and this is actually the last class in the series, so it should be really fun. Hopefully we were able to bring some of our techniques and some of the things that we've been learning and practicing together and see where that will go. But before we get into that and I start to explain what we're doing this week, maybe we'll just begin like we have done in all the previous videos with our little guided meditation, just to kind of get ourselves centered and grounded and ready to play. So if you want to find a comfortable seat wherever you are, if you're sitting on a chair, you want to let your feet, both feet, be firmly rooted on the floor below you. And then sensing on your seat, maybe shift around a little bit, get yourself a little bit comfier. And so we're feeling as though the base of our spine is really rooted into the chair or the floor below us. And we're feeling as though the crown of our head is really extending up towards the ceiling. So there's this nice alignment in our spine and the back. So that means if you're sitting slouched in any way against anything, you want to calm away from that and allow your spine to be nice and straight. So maybe shrugging our shoulders back and down, just creating a little bit of space in our shoulders and our neck. Allowing our palms just to rest wherever is comfortable. And when we're ready, if we'd like to start to close our eyes and just begin to draw our attention to the space that we're in first of all. So can we notice any sounds in the distance? Maybe there's sounds from outside of the room that we're in, outside of the house. And so we're just beginning to take in all of this kind of sensory. So it could be the feeling of our clothes against our skin, or the air, the temperature of the air on our skin. Maybe bringing our awareness to the smells, if there's any smells, any sounds. And just gradually then begin to draw our attention into our bodies. Maybe checking in with how we're feeling, checking in with our energy levels. So if we're feeling sleepy or tired or alert or awake, maybe we're buzzing with energy. So just taking a note of however we're feeling. And so we'll just start to slowly bring our awareness to our breath. And so we're just developing this sense of how things are right now at this moment. So what's happening around us, what's happening with our bodies, how we're feeling. And we're just taking note of all of that. We're not trying to hold on to any of these thoughts. We're not trying to hold on to any of these sensations. We're just noticing and breathing with that. So let's take a nice inhale, deep inhale through our nose. And let it all breathe out through our mouth. Nice big sigh. We'll do that another time. Inhale through our nose, fill in our lungs as much as we can. And as we exhale, sighing out our mouth. One more time, inhale. And exhale. And just keep following your breath. Keep following your inhales, and this time we're not going to be restricting or forcing it in any way. So we're just watching the natural ebbs and flows of our breath. And if while we're doing this any thoughts come into your mind, maybe just acknowledging those thoughts and then bringing your attention back to your breath. So we're always returning to our breath. And we're trying not to get too caught up in those thoughts. Those thoughts are always going to be there, and we can revisit them after our little meditation. But for now, we're just trying to continuously bring ourselves back to our breath. And so I'm not going to talk for a little moment. And I just ask you to continue following your breath. And so in this space of relative silence or quietness, is there any little intention that you'd like to make for your class? Or maybe you just want to bring to your mind's eye the reason that you're doing this class. Or maybe because it's our last class, you want to just honor yourself for joining in and playing and seeing what happens. So whatever reason or intention, maybe start to really think and focus on it for a little moment. Inhaling, filling that reason or intention as much as you can with your breath. And as you exhale, letting that go. Starting to think about the space that we're in, starting to visualize the room, listening to the sounds, the sensation of the light on our eyelids, maybe the sensations of our bodies, feeling our base of our spine really rooted in the seat or the floor. And when you're ready, opening your eyes to this really bright room. So, let's get started. Today we're going to be playing with haiku, which is a form of Japanese poetry, and it's very short, so it's like a short. It's usually made of 3 lines, and we're not going to be doing any haiku poetry in writing today. Today we're going to be doing some visual, so it's a little bit different. If you're interested in learning haiku, there's so much stuff on the internet, and it's really quite easy and fun and playful. So maybe after this class, if you enjoy doing your visual haikus, you might have a little look and see if there's any, if you want to respond in writing. So we might do our little visual haiku, and then you could write something to go with it. So that's the possibility for afterwards. But for now, we're going to be doing some working with our materials. So today I'm going to be playing with some paints. I'm going to get a little bit messy today and have some fun. But you can feel free to use anything that you have at home. Again, they don't necessarily have to be art materials, so you can be playing with highlighters or markers or little pens that you find, in drawers or anything. What I would like to do, seeing this is our last class, and seeing we've been working each week and developing these different techniques and ways of working, I thought that the idea of a haiku would be a really nice way to bring these elements together, these qualities, what we're trying to work with. So if there's something that you would like to, as I was talking about this, these moments of awe, or these moments of wow, that's amazing, like the raindrops, or like bird songs, or like sunrise or sunset, or these little moments, it could be to do with relationships or family or whatever thing really makes you think, oh wow. So if there's anything in your mind right now, if you want to write that down, and you can work with that today, And if not, then maybe you could follow me and we could work with springtime, seeing we are in spring at the minute, and what spring might mean to you. So you can write down some little ideas with your pencil and a little bit of pen if anything's coming into your mind at the minute, or if any ideas you're getting. So there's 3 elements that we're going to be working with today. So we're going to be working with what we've done in the previous weeks. So one thing's going to be emotion. So how do you feel in those moments of springtime? So for me, I really am reminded of these really lovely greens and the smells, you know, of the freshness of the cut grass, or of the when it's just rained, you know, after that rain, or when the rain's starting to come, there's this kind of thick air. So how do we start to work with that on the page with our different materials? So we're going to be thinking of emotions, or these feelings that start to bubble up. We're also going to be thinking about colors or tones. So if you're working with colors, then what colors are really drawn? So for me, it's these greens, all of these different types of colors of greens, and maybe some like watery or whitey colors. And if you're not working with color, that's totally fine. So you're wanting to think of tones. So is it like really dark colors? Is it lighter? And you could also start to work with different textures. So if you're working with charcoal, or if you're working with different types of thickness or degrees of pencil, you know, if you're working with HB, or and then also the materials themselves. So like in week 4, I think it was, working with materials. So what sort of things can we do differently? How can we experiment as we're making the work? What sort of things are happening, and can we follow those a little bit? So if I made a mark and it started to drip, can I follow that drip? Can I push that drip? Can I play with the things that are happening on the page, rather than thinking I know exactly what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to do and that's it? Is there any way, when we're making the work, can we play around and see where it might go differently? So let's get started. So if you've now got all your materials and everything ready, start to think about that moment. So that moment of awe, what is that? How does that feel? Where does it sit in your body? You know, does it, when you're thinking or reminiscing or imagining this moment happening, does it give you little butterflies in your tummy? Do you feel, you know, that you can breathe more fully, or where do you feel it in your body? And just sitting with that feeling, you know, what colours, what energy does that feel? So I can feel the pitter patters of the rain, lots and lots of rain. And so you can start to imagine or work with that, dance with that maybe. And how does looking out for all the little things that are happening that's just really beautiful, or just, so see the little watermarks there? You see that? And this for me is just a really relaxing, kind of soothing thing that happens, you know, when you hear that rain and you can smell that grass. And so how do you captivate that in some way? How do you illustrate that? And where do the marks go? So and can you sound it out as well? You don't need to keep it, you can move it around if you are. For me, I'm getting a lot of watermarks, so I'm starting to move it around so that they don't just dribble all down the page, because I quite like them to be moving around rather than just going the one way. Ooh, it's nice. And you don't have to be doing the same thing as me. In fact, I encourage you to be doing other things. So think about how it feels for you. I think I might add a little bit of blue. as well. And I will start to play with different brushes as well, so I'm not just always using the same size of brush, but I'm playing with smaller and bigger ones because they have different effects. I'm actually going to start using my hands as well. And this is what I mean by playing. Okay. Springtime. And for me as well, there's like, I don't know what it is, it's like birds or bird sounds, or maybe it's because in springtime I start to spend a little bit more time outside, you know, whereas in the winter I'm kind of hibernating a little bit from the cold. So the little pitter patters. And I really invite you to really play with this. You know, these videos aren't that long. They're 20 minutes. You could easily be playing with this for an hour. Easily, very, very easily. And again, you don't have to use the one medium, so maybe you start to use other medium as well. You could start to use pencil. You could be using glue. See, for me now, that's a bit too dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paintbrush and dab it a little bit with some water. So this is what I mean. Play around, be open to what's happening on the page, and see where it might go differently. Okay. Pencil. Really use pencil. See how the pencil might go with the water. Actually, it's making it quite, it's really starting to scratch into the page a little bit. So just play around with what the different materials are doing, how they're reacting to the page. If you're using pencil, if you're using pen, charcoals. Ooh! Ah! So, make sure your paints are clean as well, or else you'll get dirty marks like I just did. But that's okay. I do it that way. And again, you don't need to be doing loads and loads. Maybe you just focus on a little bit. You don't need to don't feel like you need to do the whole page. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of negative space on the page. So these, by that I mean the spaces that aren't actually getting any paint or any marks or anything on them. Sometimes that's nice to do. So rain. See, I started the rain like that and the rain was kind of coming down, so maybe I'll continue it this way. No, maybe not. So I'm going to do some little beats of the rain, some little pitter patters. And I'm listening to the sound of the pencil on the page as well. It's really bringing me back to that memory or those feelings, those imagined kind of ideas. Lots of greens. I think I might put a wee bit more green in it. And just keep going like this. So what we're doing is we're not over kind of over determining what we're going to do. So we're not trying to do anything in particular. We're just trying to feel that moment of awe. We're just trying to feel that imagined kind of or remembered feeling, and we're just going with the flow and thinking, okay, well maybe I'll add some yellow because those feelings, you know, there's got this golden glow. There's this golden glow whenever the light hits the trees, and I've got there's this really lovely kind of sunlight. So maybe I want to add a little bit of yellow. And I'll work with that idea or that memory for a little while. And just watch and notice the little marks and how it's responding to the marks that are already there. So what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to paint with the little lines that I've made before, the little pitter patters, and with the yellows and the greens. And because my memory, my feelings are like this rainy but also bright sunny days, so there's maybe some rainbows in the sky somewhere, those sort of days, you know. I'm constantly trying to feel and put myself into that memory and put myself into that feeling and see where the marks might go. And so I'll just show you a little bit where I've got to now. So and you can see that I'm now starting to play with the pencil marks and start to bring in some lead or some pen marks, some lines, because at the minute it's very much painting, so I want to mix media it a little bit. And what I'm going to do is start to follow some of the lines with my pencil, and I don't really know where it's going to go, but I'm just kind of following and seeing where that might lead. But also I'm tapping into the emotion or the feeling of the painting. So for me it's a very spring, and this memory is a very light and breezy kind of sensibility. So I'm not going to be scraping really hard with my pencil. I'm going to be really gentle and light and see where it might go, and it's almost like the wind, a really gentle wind. So I'm kind of, I have that kind of idea in my head while I'm doing this. So there's lots of like little trickles of really light and really subtle marks that I'm making, you know, and the closer you look at it, the more detail you'll see, and that's the kind of feeling that I'm trying to relate in this picture. So if this was a painting where it's quite a heavy emotion, or there's a lot of real high energy, maybe it's, you know, really ecstatic dancing or something that I'm trying to, you know, where there's a lot of expression and clapping and noise and sound, well, maybe I'm going to be using much more vibrant colours. Maybe if it's something to do with a carnival or something like that, well, I'm not going to be using these pastel-y colours. I'm going to be using like real rich reds and blues and yellows and greens maybe, and I'm going to be pressing really quite hard with my pencils or my pens, and I'm also probably going to be using a lot more paint or a lot more of the materials that I'm using, just to kind of give it that kind of higher energy feeling. So when I look at it, I'm like, I can see that, you know, there's that, it's stirring those sort of emotions. So you're trying to like feed in some way to the work, okay? So if at any point you want to pause the video and just kind of feel into this and then come back. So as I've been working, I've just noticed a little part of the painting, and it's really starting to remind me of the rainbow, and I think it's because I just mentioned rainbow before there. But I'm going to follow that because it's kind of come out even more, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to add maybe a little bit more colour. So I'm not necessarily going to start drawing a rainbow in it, and maybe if you wanted to you could, but I'm just going to, I'm really drawn to maybe a pinky or a purpley or plummy kind of colour. So I'm just going to put that in and see what happens. So just show you what I mean. So that little bit there, that for me is a little rainbow, okay? Might not look like the what a rainbow is, but for me it's kind of playing with this idea of light and colour, and especially because the rest of the page is very greeny, so it really stands out, that red with that purpley colour. And so you just continue doing that. So we're talking to our paintings in a way where we're seeing things happening and we're just following that and not being too critical of ourselves or not being too afraid to play, because that's all of this is. It's just playing and experimenting, okay? There's no rights or wrongs. We're just seeing what happens. Whatever happens, that's great. And so as we're doing this, you might find that some of the images that you've been doing in the previous weeks, so the likes of last week's maybe, so the likes of some of these previous works are starting to come through for me. I'm always seem to be drawing circles. I just love circles. So I do find myself starting to draw these more kind of circular organic shapes, and that's okay as well. So just be open to some of these images coming through, okay? So I think we're probably coming to an end. You can definitely keep working on these and playing, or maybe this is a working drawing that you can then start to develop into a bigger piece that where you maybe spend 2 or 3 hours on, and this is kind of like a little mini one or a little small working drawing, so you can figure out, okay, well, I really love that shape and I really love these marks that I've made, so I'm going to develop that with other images or other kind of little moments. So you can use this as a little tool or a little way of getting some ideas, some initial ideas out, but there's no pressure on this to ever be a finished piece. So I think that's us. So yeah, there we have it, our very own visual haiku of spring. For me, the fresh cut grass and the kind of dew and the raindrops and the pitter patter, and there's lots of little as I'm talking about it, there's lots of little words and phrases that we can use to then maybe transfer that into a haiku, and maybe there's a story that's kind of unfolding in the work as we're drawing it, so we can be writing our haikus and drawing at the same time. So yeah, experiment and play and see what's the best method for you. I would really love to see some of this week's visual haikus, and please think about what they are and share us, if it is spring or if it is a different moment that you've been working with or imagined kind of feeling. So if you have any works that you'd like to share and show us, please do contact Tanya at Woodworks. The details will be at the end of this video, and if you want to subscribe to more videos, please hit the subscribe button. And yeah, thank you so much. This has been really lovely making these videos with you and seeing all the works and playing and connecting with our paintings and our drawings. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as me. I hope you've learned or been able to take something away from it, and I wish you all the best in continuing to develop your drawings and practicing your mark makings. Thank you. Bye. Keep safe, and I'll see you soon.